All right, some news came out that concerns the Broncos and the Los Angeles Rams and the NFL Scouting Combine, and kind of what's a first. League sources told Adam Schefter and ESPN that the Broncos and the Rams will not be sending a lot of their assistants or some key assistants to the NFL Combine this year. Like I said, it's kind of an unprecedented move. Usually what happens is the whole team's contingent goes to the combines. You have general manager, you have the personnel guys, you have the head coach, you have assistants, and they go to the combine, for the week to kind of go through and look at these prospects. And the Denver Broncos, under Vic Fangio, is entering going to be his second offseason with the Broncos. He's not sending any of his assistants, so no Broncos assistant coaches will be attending the combine. He felt that they needed their time would be better spent in Denver watching film on these prospects. He's going to provide the tapes, the transcripts, whatever it may be, for the prospect interviews to the assistants so they can review those as well, but they will not be at the combine. For the Los Angeles Rams, Sean McVay is not sending his offensive or defensive coordinators. So Kevin O'Connell is their new offensive coordinator. Brandon Staley is their new defensive coordinator. They will not be there. He wants them back in Los Angeles implementing their new schemes. McVay is going to come for the opening days, do his media obligations, and then head back as well to kind of help implement those two new schemes. Now, on the surface, this doesn't seem like that big of a deal. If you look at the combine, anybody that follows it, the on-field drills, you can sit back and watch those on TV. Watch if they're recorded for the teams, they can sit back and watch these guys go, and it's almost the same as sitting up in the stands, per se. But I think what is the big deal here is they're not going to, these assistant coaches, and McVay in this case, they're not going to be there for these interviews. And I think what people get kind of, the average Joe fan maybe, when they think of the combine, you think of 40-yard dash, you think of the vertical leap, and you may be like, oh, well, I could just read those and see what it is, and it's not that big of a deal. I think what's most important about the combine is the interviews. These coaches and these teams get to sit down with these players for only 15 minutes, but 15 minutes is still a lot of time. And they get to go through and mass interview a lot of these players. And that's where you get a good feel for them. You get to maybe see them work the board. You get to do a lot of different things with them. And that's where maybe you kind of, not necessarily fall in love with the prospect, but really kind of get the guys that you want. And I think both of these teams are missing out on that opportunity. The Broncos assistant coaches, maybe they need a receiver. They need some offensive linemen. And sometimes getting in front of them and talking with them, you get a feel for how well you can work with them. And they're missing out on that opportunity. The Broncos need to fix their offensive line. They need some key pieces on defense. And I think this is a little short-sighted in that you're not able to meet with these guys. And sure, you still have 30 team visits where they can bring in 30 guys to their facilities, and maybe that will help. But once again, you're missing out on this opportunity. The Rams, same thing. They don't have a first-round pick, so they're missing out on. It's not like they have a top 20 pick anymore because they traded it for Jalen Ramsey, but they still have several picks. And here's a team that's looking to get to the playoffs and looking to get back to the Super Bowl, which they were at 2 years ago, and they need to use some key pieces. They're changing their schemes. I get that. Offense is going to stay the same. It's Sean McVay's offense. He's bringing in Kevin O'Connell as his offensive coordinator, but it's still going to be the Sean McVay offense. Defensively, they are changing things up, and I get that. But is missing out on this 1 week going to make their offense or defense that much better? Once again, the defensive coordinator, Brandon Staley, is going to have to, implement this defense, and he's going to have to get these guys that he wants, and they're changing their scheme quite a bit. They're going away from the Wade Phillips scheme to more of the Vic Fangio scheme, and so they could need some roster turnover a bit. So I think, once again, is this the end of the world? No. But the fact that they can meet with these prospects, and that I think it is something that we'll see. Maybe it's not as big of a deal, and they go on and they have great drafts and find some foundational pieces to their teams. But I think they're missing out on the opportunity in those interviews. I don't think this is going to be something that we see hugely going forward. You're not going to see teams pull out their guys. But I do think it's a little short-sighted of these teams, if you ask me.